Good afternoon. It has been quite some time since we last have Ezekiel with us. And today is our 10th episode. So 10 episode of Better Sex, Better Life. Can you imagine? We
Wow,
had it,
it's been that long.
I think the first episode we had was like somewhere in early December. So now we had come to 10 episodes. And
Oh, that is so nice.
after the 10th episode, actually, I am going to do a sexual health webinar starting tomorrow. So what a huge transformation. I don't know how many of our audience has been transformed. I mean, their life uh, in terms of their sex life after hearing these 10 episodes. But I think my life has transformed quite tremendously. I have never thought that I will be um, I will conduct a sexual health webinar. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, I'm doing it. So how are you, Kills?
it's been fascinating. Uh, Continued lockdowns.
Hmm.
I've my like the work that I do has accelerated because of this time period.
Is it
Yeah,
because of mental health issue?
yeah, but predominantly there's been a lot more work that I've had to do that are related to people in relation to their either their relationships or their dating lives during this time period. And it's not just in
Okay.
Malaysia. Like majority of the people that I work with are not here.
Okay.
And they have very
Okay.
different problems. It's a very interesting time to be dating and dealing with, dealing with like topics such as like sex, dating, attraction in like a COVID world. It's changed so many things, but at the same time it hasn't because it just sheds a lot more light on the fundamentals that people are forgetting, which I think some of it we're
Mm.
gonna be tackling today, which is good. I guess re-education for the fundamentals is always good.
Yeah, I think re-education, the re-education of the sexual education is really, really important. And
Yeah,
we will talk a little bit about sneak peek of my course tomorrow. So I think one
nice.
of the topics that we will talk about is actually the common psychological roadblocks. So
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times people are not enjoying sex is also because they have certain roadblocks in them. I think just by releasing these roadblocks without learning a new skill, you can actually improve your sex life quite tremendously. So I
Yeah,
think maybe I can start with talking about the female psychological roadblocks first. Then maybe you can talk about the male part.
yeah, that's fine. By the way, when you're talking about psychological roadblocks, are you referring to people who are already in existing relationships or long-term relationships, or are you referring to in general?
I think in general, I think in
Okay.
general, people who cannot really enjoy sex might be due to these few roadblocks, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
it will be even more obvious if it's in a long-term relationship, I think.
Mm, okay, that's interesting because yes and no. Yes and no, but that's good. At least we're broadening it out, So
Okay.
good.
So I'm just saying that I think a lot of women, they can't really enjoy sex. One of the reasons are body shame. I think
Hmm.
a lot of women that I talk to, a lot of women, they are afraid to even switch on the light. They are so afraid to let the husband see or the partner see when they are naked. They feel very shameful when they are naked, or they don't feel comfortable with their body. I think that is
Yeah.
one of the uh, number one psychological roadblocks.
Yeah. What are the most common sources of body shame?
Of course, social media and all these magazines that putting an unrealistic and unrealistic body shape to people, and putting certain kind of standards that they think that only this type of body looks sexy. I think that
Hmm.
is very, very bad. Yeah.
Yeah, like another one is being told that your body is not for any other. it's not for pleasure. It's like it's a very private thing. You shouldn't even touch it. It's like when you're a kid, you're being told, don't touch your private parts. A lot of those things.
I would think that is more of a sexual shame. Like they feel shameful to even touch their own, and they feel shameful to have pleasure. Like especially women, I think this is mainly for women. Like women, whenever they initiate sex, they think they should not. They think they should not initiate sex, and they think they should just be like a good girl, like a trap in a good girl scenario, that you should not ask for sex, you should not be feeling the pleasure of sex. I think a lot of women has this.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. It's fascinating that you're talking about it that way, because it's a lot about the role models that you see. If your parents grew up saying, hey, you should cover up, or you're not used to seeing your parents like showing off their own bodies to each other or at home, then you feel like, oh, then none of that should be seen at all. And you're not used to seeing yourself even in the mirror anymore at that point. Which, by the way, there's another reason for body shame that I'm encountering quite a lot, which is that if they've had an unpleasant sexual experience when they're much younger, they start seeing their bodies as dirty. It's like, my body is too dirty, that I don't want to offer it to this sexual relationship with my partner. That's hard. So that's really hard.
I even have encountered a woman who thinks that sex is a dirty act.
Oh yeah.
And every time he wants to make love to the husband, he wants every time the husband wants to make love to her, she will just lie down there and tell the husband, just finish your disgusting act. That's what she says, So I'm like, oh my God. So I think that kind of sexual shame is one of the psychological roadblocks.
I don't know how you could possibly fix that. That's challenging. Anyway.
So anyway, I think tomorrow's our course we will cover a lot on all these psychological roadblocks, and talking about how you should reconnect and release all these bad feelings. And I think another very common psychological roadblocks for women is they stuck in a masculine energy. Because nowadays a lot of women, they come out to work, maybe high position, very demanding, and they are in a masculine energy for the whole day. And when they come back, they can't switch back to the feminine energy. Do you think so?
I think we should talk about that a little bit. What do you mean by masculine energy?
So I think masculine energy, like controlling, demanding, like
assertive,
not being, sorry?
Yeah, assertive,
yes,
competitive.
Yes, competitive. And maybe you should not be vulnerable, you need to be like tough kind of thing. So I think sometimes women, because they are in a society where you should not be vulnerable. If you're vulnerable, it looks at it as like a weakness. So when you come back, making love to your partner, you need to surrender, right? So when you're too masculine, you're too into the masculine energy, I think it's not able to surrender. Am I right?
Yeah. You got, like, masculine and feminine energy is like the whole sexual encounter is a marriage between masculine and feminine energy, and you can basically look at that in the sense of, say, when you're doing pair dancing, you're dancing salsa, bachata, or whatever. What is the role of the male figure in that dance? It's like you have to lead it.
Yes.
You have to lead, and that means you're the one who's seeing the direction. What are we doing next? What's the tempo? What's blah? And then the female role there is to follow the lead, but make sure that they enjoy the experience and make it look, like, and feel good about it, be smooth, look good while doing it, so that they both look good together. So from a work standpoint, it just so happens that the way the world works right now, if you're talking about work, capitalism, business, whatever, the highest traits for success are very masculine traits: competitiveness, hyper controlling, assertiveness, aggression, calculating, control. There's a lot of that stuff. And if that's where you are all day, like you know that there's even studies showing now that I have to dig it up, that women's hormones shift drastically when they're stuck in a masculine energy for too long, that it affects their physiology.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
think so. I would think
yeah,
so.
and it's really hard to get out of that mindset, and you cannot have good sexual encounters if you're always in that mindset.
I think it's important to have both the energy, like different environment. But I think when during love making, imagine if you have masculine energy and your partner is also in his masculine energy. Oh,
It's gone. It's not it. That's it. And by the way, like for the people who are watching, we're not saying that when you're getting naughty with your partner and you're saying like the female partner, that sometimes you're like, okay, today we trade, like I will tie you up and I'll beat you or whatever. Like that's okay because you're giving into the experience. That's different. What we're saying is like, okay, it's like if I'm a guy and my female partner is telling me, really, that's all you can do? That's all you can do? I'm not sure if that's very enticing. That kind of thing. Like, no, I don't want you to challenge me here. I want you to give yourself fully to me and this experience. So that's hard, especially for very like, no, I must be better than a man kind of mindset. Oh, that's so hard.
so it's really important. That's why I think scheduling sex is important, so that you know that that day you will not be too tired or too busy, because it takes time for you to switch, right? So
Oh yeah.
imagine if you are so pumped up today in your board meeting and everything, then you go home and you wanted to switch, or maybe you got pissed off by some board of directors, and you
Yeah.
come back, you wanted to switch to the feminine energy. Is not that easy. So I think
Yeah.
scheduling sex is always good, because it takes time, because especially I think women, we need time to switch to the feminine side, where we want to wash our hair, we want to smell good, we want to wear our matching underwear, so that, we slowly switch into the feminine side before
Yeah.
we yeah.
Yeah, it's like a whole day. It's like a whole day lineup affair, to get into the mood.
Yeah.
And it's not just for women. Men need to kind of know that too. But I think it's a lot more crucial to be more deliberate about it from a like female standpoint, because it's mostly about the feelings to get into the mood. So yeah, that's schedule it not because you want it to be a routine. Schedule it so that you can prepare for it properly.
Yes, I think scheduling sex is not boring. I think scheduling sex is even more exciting. Imagine
Yeah,
if you don't schedule. Imagine if you don't schedule sex, what you do is after washing your dishes, you say, "Oh, do we want to make love?" So it's like, I think it's worse. But if you schedule sex, like the anticipation, the flirt, you can flirt with
yeah,
your partner till that day. I think it's so much more. The ritual is so much more better. Like you're tuning into
yeah.
that love making.
The
I think
situation
another
where you're so hungry for each other that you'll just do it anywhere. That's like the first 3 to 6 months only.
so yeah. So then I think another roadblock for women is unable to ask for what they want in bed. Like what is nice, what is arousing for them. A lot of times they are not able to say. Do you think so?
I agree with that. Like being able to say what works and what is
Yeah.
not working. I think a lot, like they're equally as hard. I used to think that one was more common than the other, but actually no. It seems like it's a 50-50 split from the people that I work with. Is half
So
have trouble
the audience
saying what
here,
they want.
the audience here say it's very hard to communicate. It's very hard to say. I think it's true, but I think there's way to do it. you can say it very subtly, like, I really like what you do, but I would
Yeah.
like to try blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
Or when you are in the moment, I think it's also good to give some feedback, like, is it nice? Should it be harder or softer, faster or slower, But I think a lot of times women are not able to speak out. They
Yeah.
just keep themselves in silence.
I think I want to explore that. Why do you think that's the case?
I
What
think
are they
because, like I
what are
said,
people scared of?
I think I think women, they are afraid being judged. Like, why do you ask, why are you enjoying so much? Like, they have this sexual shame, right? Like, they should not be enjoying it so much. So I think that is part of the reason. And number
Yeah.
two, I think is limited vocab. Like, you don't really know what you like, especially women who doesn't self pleasure, they don't know what they like. I think it's also hard for them to express it, because you don't know what you like. How are you going to tell your partner what you like?
How about being afraid of how their partner is going to react by what they
Yeah,
say?
I think that, okay. Like judgment, right? Not so much on judgment.
Not judgment, it's like they're afraid of offending their partner.
Oh, okay. Of course, you cannot be saying like, hey, do this, do that. Like, you cannot be demanding, right? So I think practicing it is important. You should not be
Yeah.
demanding. You should be just guiding, like maybe guiding in a way, like you can also like use your hand or non-verbal way to guide him,
Yeah,
or
that's actually the one that works the best at the beginning, which is you just guide their hand, so at least you're not saying anything. And then you guide their hand somewhere and then you tell them slower or
oh,
faster or
okay. So
firmer.
there's people asking us to share some tips to heighten the sexual arousal.
Oh,
So what do you think are the tips?
sexual arousal during sex or before sex
Okay,
is
let's
very different.
ask the audience. Crystal, what do you mean, before sex or during sex, to heighten the sexual arousal?
Because during sex is something else altogether already.
Okay, so while waiting her to reply, maybe we can also talk about male psychological roadblocks.
Hmm.
What do you think are the roadblocks?
Well, uh, we're talking about before sex or when you're already in the moment.
I think in the moment. In the
Okay,
moment.
so things that I've genuinely encountered are, number one is that they're afraid of, if like, are their penises big enough?
Okay. Okay.
And are there like, surprisingly, body shame is not as common as I thought it would be. It's
Okay.
not. I mean, I'm talking to like global audience of people I've worked with, okay? So
Yeah.
it's not as important. But I
Okay.
think that one, being able to keep an erection is a big deal. Another one is not being able to bring their partner to some form of orgasm.
Mm-mm.
If they're more experienced and they're like, oh my god, I must reach that destination, which means like you are doomed, my friend. That's not an assurance. And the other one is, uh, I think, ejaculating or too early,
Okay.
not
I
being
think
able to control that.
I also noticed that a lot of men actually has this performance anxiety. You know, like I have encountered many men who told me that they have erectile dysfunction, but actually they don't have erectile dysfunction, but they think they have. So it's one kind of performance anxiety. And the worst thing
Yeah.
is it will become a bad cycle. Once
Correct.
they have like lost their erection, like once in the sexual sex making, and then the next time they want to make love again, they will have this, oh, I afraid I might lose it.
Yeah, yeah, and for a lot of men, that's traumatizing. Like
Yeah.
one poor sexual experience with, say, like their existing partner, can stay there for a long time, and that's hard to remove. Those are the most common ones, but also the most like shallow level, but most common ones that they tend to have problems with. Uh, Penis size insecurity tends to be more for younger people
So,
that they deal with as a problem. They think about that as a problem, when in fact it's like, seriously, it's really not such a big deal in the long run, uh, unless you have like serious problems there. Uh, Keeping an erection is a lot. I used to think it was, I mean, it's more common on older people for purely biological reasons,
yeah.
which I think you will cover at some point on how to maintain that and be in good health to be able to do that. But you mentioned keeping an erection for younger people. You're absolutely right that it has a lot to do with psychology. If they're super stressed out, it will only go either two ways. One, they can't get it up, or number two, they're so tense that they'll ejaculate within like less than 10 seconds.
Mm, 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 mm.
It's usually
And
one of those problems.
I think part of the reason why they have performance anxiety is also a lot of men actually learn their sex education through pornography. So I think that will set very unrealistic expectation. Of course, number one, why are they concerned about the penis size? Because they look at all these size of the pornography man penis is usually bigger than the average, right? Because that's the reason they do pornography, right? I mean, they will choose people who are better looking, better in size, and they will set unrealistic expectation that when they are making love for 60 minutes, they are erected the whole 60 minutes. I think these are the things that make a lot of men feel like when they lose the erection, there's something wrong with them, but it's actually just normal.
Yeah, and you're not always going to be in that state of like, even erections are, there's percentages of it, you know. Sometimes you wake up and you're like, okay, today I'm only until like 90%, or today I can only do a 60 70 because I'm too stressed out, or I didn't sleep properly. Your eating, your physical health, your sleeping, they all add up when it comes to this.
True.
Those would be regular, like those would be the most common things that men complain about. The older you get, though, the more the anxiety is related to, can I even get it up in the first
True.
place?
So
Yeah.
recently I have a client. The husband is only like 40 over years old, and I think he start to lose his erection, most probably due to the medication he's taking. Like as you know, medication like diabetes, high blood pressure, these are all medication that actually slows down the circulation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very common that they might lose the erection. So sometimes when they have this problem, they don't talk to their wife, and that's where their wife will start thinking what happened.
Yeah.
Am I not attractive anymore? Are you
Mm-hmm.
having an affair outside? You know, there's all this. I don't feel love because you don't touch me anymore. You know, these are all the common problems
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happen.
And that starts the spiral of like partner, wife not satisfied with not feeling attracted, not feeling like their partner is attractive. Then they'll start doing it. They'll start nagging, and then the husband or boyfriend is like, no, I don't want to talk about this. So they move away even more, and then that's it. Like you're in a spiral of non attraction to each other, which
Yeah,
is a lot more which is very common.
I see that Eileen posted something. Let me check if I miss her message. Eileen, more time to reflect on matters. Eileen, I don't really get what is your questions. Can you just rephrase your question so that I can answer it? Okay. Crystal did ask just now about how to seems like I keep losing the message. Some tips to heighten sexual arousal. So she is saying both before and during. How to heighten the sexual arousal.
Okay, so I think a lot, like the biggest bang for your buck, meaning like 20, like the highest priority is just before. It's like before. How do you bring the arousal to a certain level? So
Yes.
we can talk about the external things about mood, but the thing is, mood is actually not just environment external. It helps, but that's not the point. The point is, if you're talking about heterosexual couples, let's say like man and woman partnerships, the woman wants to feel in a place where I feel safe and I feel that I'm taken care of and I feel like I am wanted. Those are the
Yes.
three feelings that you want.
Yes.
Now there's another one, which is how do you make your and how do you then from the male perspective, since we're talking heterosexual couples, their job is to be able to create that space, that environment, and you create that space by how you behave. So there's a reason why even when couples are fighting, the sexual tension is high. And the reason why the sexual tension is high is because they feel comfortable enough with each other that we can fight and bounce emotions with each other, but we know that we're in it with each other, and that's fine, which is why the emotions are high. Woman feels I'm safe here, I'm expressing myself, and I'm accepted by my partner, and I know my partner likes me. And then the male is like, well, I'm asserting myself here, and this is my woman, and we're heightened and high energy. Let's do it. Like, that's why that's possible. You need to be able to recreate that, like heightened emotional connection. And you can do that. There's simple ways to do that. Like number one would be being able to talk to each other about yourselves in general. So you feel like you're connected with each other. You can add physiology to that. You can start a bit of touching that. You just hug each other for a while. And the other one is, the last one is, there's a very big difference between men saying yes, 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 yes to their partner. That's actually the worst thing you can do, because it makes you look like you're a child saying yes, yes, yes to mommy. That is not sexy, guys. It does not work.
Yes, especially, a woman who has kids to parent, we wouldn't want to parent our partners. And imagine sometimes when we are in that particular head, like parenting the kids, don't do this, don't do that, please do this, please do that, right? And your husband is acting like a child.
It's
gone.
Not
hot.
No. And something like for the person who asked, I'll give you like a very clear, a very interesting example of what I mean by men stepping into their manliness in a respectful way, masculine energy. Okay, so my friend and his girlfriend, right? Girlfriend. His girlfriend was telling him it was Christmas. Sorry, hotel. It was it was her birthday. And he said, and he asked his girlfriend, hey, what do you want to do today since it's your birthday? The girlfriend said, no, I don't want to do anything. And then the guy was like, okay, I guess you don't want to do anything, so we're not going to do anything. Wow, that is like so dead. It's like that's not the point. The reason why she said I don't want to do anything is what she's actually saying is I don't feel like making decisions today. And I want you as the man to step in and take over and lead me. Whereas what he should have done is said, oh, seems like you're not in the mood. Come on, stand up, let's dance. Or maybe I'm going to take you to this place. It's really amazing. It's got great reviews. Come on, you're not in the mood? Come on, let me carry you and like hug you or whatever. That you're ready? Okay, be ready in 10 minutes. Let's go. That's all they want. They want to feel that you're in charge.
True,
And
true.
most men make the
So
mistake of saying, "Oh, my girlfriend is acting like, oh, I don't want to do this, I want to do this, I don't blah blah blah." They're in that mood. Your job is not to step away from that. Your job is to shake them out of that and say, "We're going."
oh my God, you're so manly, Kills.
But you get what I mean, right? The feeling, right? Because even if I tell you, even if you were to tell me like, even if I told you, okay, I guess you don't want to go anywhere, so let's not go anywhere. That's very different from me saying, no, we're not going anywhere today. We'll go somewhere later, but not today. Different energy, completely different energy. One makes you act like makes me look like a child, and the other one tells you that no, I got this under control. That is the absolute secret from the male side of the spectrum to initiate sexual tension. The feminine side of the spectrum has to give in to that.
True. So I think not only women are stuck in the masculine energy, and sometimes the men just lost their masculine energy.
Yeah, actually, for the most part, that is the problem too. Like
So
men
so I
don't know
think
how to be men anymore.
I think another way to heighten the sexual arousal is actually your brain, because it's your biggest sex organ, right? So I
Yeah.
think I think especially women is a lot to do with imagination and things like that. I think the man should direct it. Direct your woman. Flirt with them, talk to them about the things that you want to do to them before even to the bed. Because they need
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. And if your partner, here's the challenge for men and women, right? If like I was telling this to my friends the other day, if your partner is stuck in their heads and they're just stuck in their spiral, it's a challenge for you as like the guy to be able to how well do you know your partner that you can express masculine love to them that'll shake them out of it. And if you can do it, great. And if you cannot do it, then you got to try again at some other time. But here's the thing, if it comes to the point where you really cannot break through that barrier that your partner is putting up, the two of you might want to consider breaking up in the first place, because that means the way you're expressing your masculine energy is not matching the way and that means your sex life is dead. And if your sex life is dead, you're dead as a couple. You have nothing. There's no tension. And they just
So
stare at me like, oh my God, like what do we do?
So I think when we talk about heighten the sexual arousal during sex,
Yeah.
what is it?
Like during sex, it has a lot to do. Like I think if you're talking about arousal, if the like suddenly something happened and then like an awkward thing happened and you're not in the mood anymore, that's really hard. That's really, really hard. Like I wouldn't even try to save that. Let's say let's say what's a really awkward thing that happened?
I tell you, I know.
Give me something. Give me something.
I think like men, example, let's say they smell something very bad, right? Or they saw something or something crossed their mind. Example, their mom or their boss crossed their mind and they suddenly lost their erection.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I think that one you pause. Just pause. If it's an interruption, just pause. Just pause it and forget it. I mean, ideally you would have scheduled your sex time is coinciding with your today is Friday date day. So you don't just have that hour. You have like a whole afternoon to kind of like, okay, let's chill out a little bit. Let's do other things, and then maybe we'll get back to it later on. It's fine. I think that's better. But if you're already in the moment and you want to really make things explode there. You have to ride the wave of it. It's like music. You have to ride the wave of where the climaxes are of like the energy. Sorry, like a movie. So you start off slow. You don't go like, okay, we're in the mood now, and it's like boom, 120%. Like what the hell? Like no, 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 no. You don't do that. People are gonna get hurt if you do that. So what you want to do is think about sex as more like a dance which has no end. There's no real end to it. Like
Okay.
it's just a dance, and it's like
Yes.
listening to music.
Yeah. I think the process is really important. If you
Yeah,
focus too much on orgasm, the surprise thing is you might not even achieve that.
exactly.
Especially
For
women,
women specifically, no,
Yes.
okay, it will not
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. So if a man keep on pressuring the woman, have you come yet? Have you come yet? I think the woman just lost it. She
Yeah.
can't come. Yeah.
Yeah, so the same energy that I talked about during the pre-sex arousal, that has to be transmitted in physical terms during sex itself. So the more you contain your partner, like you hold them, you squeeze them, I don't know, you carry them, or you steer them around, depending on how your dynamics works. The more you slowly build that up, like initially you're a bit more gentle or whatever, then later on you start, as soon as they trust you more and more, then you become a little bit more ravishing,
Mm.
and then things get really hot from there, and you just see where you guys can take that. So that's why when I tell you about marathons, like I'm not saying 120% ramming each other for like 4 or 5 hours. No, that's a
Yeah.
build up.
True, true. So I think a lot of times, we do not really have a proper sex education when we grow up. So that's the reason actually why I started this sexual health webinar where it's starting tomorrow. So if you are interested to join, we are talking a lot on these psychological roadblocks that men and women will have, and we talk about the basic anatomy like the G spots, the clitoris, the penis, and things like that. A lot of people don't even have this basic knowledge. And a lot of times you will be surprised. I heard a lot of men telling me, I don't like blowjob. And I'm like, are you sure? so so when I dig deeper and ask, it's because of the women are not good in doing that. Whether it's a hand job or a blow job, they are really not good in doing that. So the class will also talk about these basic things that you should at least know. But a lot of people, because they don't even have this proper sex education, and watching porn is definitely not a proper sex education. I always think that watching porn to learn how to make love is like learning how to drive a car by watching Fast and Furious, you know, because it might be so dangerous, unrealistic, and things like that, right? So
Yeah.
if you want to have proper sex education, tomorrow will be a very, very good class, because the class I specifically do it to cater to Asian as well. Because sometimes, if you look at the Western learning, sometimes it's not as applicable to Asian. And I think a lot of roadblocks might not also applicable to Asian. So yeah, so if you have not had a proper sex education, tomorrow course will be a good one for you. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's great that
So
you're catering to a specific demographic and culture, because even in Asia, sex culture is very different. Like Japanese sex culture, Korean sex culture, they're all very different.
yeah.
And that's very important. So I think that's good that you're doing it that way.
So do we want to talk a little bit about sex drive? Some people has higher sex drive, some people has lower sex drive, and how can we actually, if there's a gap, how to
Hmm.
solve that? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Sex
How
drive.
how how do you define high sex drive?
So a very simple way of looking at sex drive, if you biological for men, would be the number of erections that you have in a day.
Okay, okay,
And for men, it actually happens multiple times a day. And if
okay,
you're doing well, like physiologically you're doing well and psychologically you're doing well, you would know that, because most men would have some form of erection by the time they wake up.
okay.
It
The
means your
morning
body is
erection.
functioning. Yeah, morning erection. It means you're. That's why it's a talked about topic from the elderly, that they like. Oh my god, like I had a morning erection. That's like a win for me. It's like
It's
fuck
true.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
And and
so
and
so
there's,
A lot of men who lost their morning erection, and when they start to sit on our pelvic floor muscle exercise, and when they have the morning erection, it's like, oh my god, I had it back. you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's two main I think if I mean you can go into this very, very deep, but to make it very simple, there's two aspects of it that you can look at for men's sex drive is number one is your physiological and psychological health. It's like, are you super stressed out? And is your body doing okay? Eating properly, exercise properly, muscle development is there. Your blood flow is good because erections are basically blood flow to your penis.
True, true.
That's one. And then the other part, which mainly translates to psychological health that impacts it, is do you feel like you are in charge of your life?
Mm.
And that means you feel like you're in the driver's seat of your life. You feel that you're supported by your partner and your family in your life. Your home, you feel like you're the father of the family. In your relationship, you feel like you're able to lead your partner. You feel like your career, you're heading in a certain direction, because men are driven by mission and direction. If they feel that, they literally feel like they can have sex with the world. That's how men have high sex drive. And that's why if you remove a mission from a man's life, you remove their purpose, you make them jobless and they have nothing to do, it's all downhill. It just destroys everything, because that's how men are hardwired.
True, true. So, and recently, I think there's this popular TV show, which is this Sex Life. I think, not to say for the first time in the TV movies, but I'm saying that this movies is talking about a woman who has such a high sex drive that the husband can't satisfy it. That's why she starts fantasizing her ex-boyfriend. So I think for women, if we look at that movie, I would think it's because the husband, whenever making love to her, is always disconnected. You know, like from the first episode when they make love, the husband was like watching sports while making love to her. So I think she's always not satisfied. She like feel frustrated, like sexually frustrated, because she feel like she's not being wanted. You know?
So wait, she feels that she's not wanted because her partner is tired of sex, or what?
Okay, so one of the reasons is because she had a very, very good sex experience with the ex, right? So right now with the husband, I think a lot of times the husband are very disconnected, like doesn't know what he's doing, or when making love is like watching movies or get distracted. And I think they don't schedule their sex best. That's why whenever the woman want to make love to the husband, whether the husband wants to go to work, yeah, you know, that like he wants to go to work, or you know, things like that, like he's distracted. That's why the wife will feel like she's not being appreciated. I think of course maybe the wife has a high sex drive as well, but I also think it's a lot to do with the disconnection and not making her feel significant. Yeah. Because every time he comes back, he will go to the kids first before her.
So, I think that's a deeper question. I think that's the thing about that TV show. It's like, why is the husband not interested in having sex with his wife? That's the deeper question.
So he does say a little. He said that the penis doesn't work as well as it used to be. So he said he doesn't think about it as much as he used to be. So that's one of the reasons. So I think it's also performance anxiety. Like he has premature ejaculation. And I also see that somehow he doesn't really know how to please the woman. Like the wife will like teach him how to do it. And he got frustrated when the wife start instructing him to move higher, like you do it in a circle and you do it harder, or you slow it down, you know. Then I think he got offended as well.
Yeah, well, that's that's psychologically dead. That's a hard case for the both of them. Uh, but yeah, that's definitely a thing for men. If they feel that they're not in control of life and they're not, it doesn't have to be like big achievement. It's just the idea of
Yeah.
is your life moving towards somewhere, and are you steering it somewhere? Even if it's small achievements and you have something to look forward to, that is enough to heighten up your sex drive. And to men, they're mission driven. So that means you see that your mission comes first. For as long as your mission comes first, your sex drive is very likely going to be quite high. The
Okay.
moment you say, I don't want to prioritize my mission in life, or I don't have one, and I'm just going to use my family as an excuse, it's over. Like your sex drive is dead. But too many people make that excuse.
So Eileen said she agreed that chemistry has to be there from the beginning. Some couples just can't connect no matter what. I think if you don't have the chemistry, how do you start the relationship? I think it's hard, right?
I think you need to start dating each other again as if you didn't know each other, and then try to see if it's there. It's like pretend like I know we're legally married. Let's remove that expectation and say, am I still interested in getting to know and date you and see
I
where
think,
you're at? Because I
think
because
the
I feel like I
continuous,
don't know you for like 5-10 years at this point. So why don't we try to get to know each other again?
I think the continuous curiosity towards your partner is really important. Sometimes you all have been together for so long, like you know that person so well that you lost the curiosity about the person. I think that will kill the chemistry as well.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I see that quite a lot lately. I'm pleasantly surprised by that of couples who say, so they had their first kid and then they spent a lot of time taking care of the kid, and then like the first 2 to 3 years of having a kid is like full on attention there, and you barely have time for each other, and then after the 3 years, okay, like our kid is not gonna die anymore. Like we have help from family or whatever. And they look at each other and say, I feel like I haven't spoken to you properly in 3 years.
Okay, Eileen actually brought up something that I think is really, really interesting to talk about. She said that a lot of couples got married, they still love each other, but doesn't mean there's chemistry there anymore. So I think it's not about not having chemistry, it's no longer having the desire. And I think when you have too much familiarity, yes, you tends to lost it. So love is all about safety, right? Love is like you being safe to the person, but sex or desire is actually the opposite, like adventure, right? So if you stop having adventure, you stop having curiosity on each other, that's where you actually lost the desire. You will still love each other, because love is always about trust and safety, like certainty. But when it comes to desire, it's a lot to do with adventure, uncertainty. Yeah.
Yeah, I would look at it that way. It's like, here's the question: is when you say, that's why I don't like the word love. You know why? Because love is overused everywhere. And that's why in other languages there are different words for the term love. It's like, if you want your married life to be like having a best friend and a roommate and a business partner and that's it, then great, that's your married life. Good. But not many people actually want that. A lot of people look at marriages like that and say, I don't want that to be my future.
Yes.
And that means really looking at, what do I want in my partnership? I want desire, I want passion, and I want some form of, say, emotional security with a partner. You have to decide what are the parameters for what you want in a partnership with somebody. You can't just fall into it and say, whatever. It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
A lot of couple actually did that. Like they plan for their work, they plan for their kids, they plan for everything except for their love and sex life. So they just like do everything out of convenience. That's how the desire died. Because imagine if you're just washing dishes and you say, okay, let's make love, and it's like so certain, right? Like, what else can you expect? How are you going to arouse that kind of desire? So I think putting effort into your love making, especially like ritual, right? To me, I think it's a ritual. It's like when you eat something, if you just serve on the table and eat, that is not a ritual. That is like a chores. You just eat, right? But when you want to do a nice ritual, you will put nice tablecloth, you lit the candle light, you'll cook something very special. That's a ritual. When you do a ritual to your normal chores, it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, I would
Right?
go further away from that because I think ritual by itself is not gonna be enough. I
Okay.
think you have to have a constant mindset that I want to attract my partner's desire. So that means I will keep myself physically healthy. I will keep myself physically fit. As a guy, I
Mm,
would say, what is my partner interested in? She's interested
true,
in a man who's like strong, has
true,
ambition, is going
true,
somewhere in life, and will protect her. Great. So
true,
I'm going to invest in myself for all those things because that makes me feel good for myself. And I incidentally know that she's going to be attracted to that. That
true.
solves the attraction part. But I think people forget that. They're just like, I'm already
I'm married.
committed. I'm
I
not going
can
to
be
do anything.
fat now.
Yeah, I get married. I can be fat now. Like, no, you kill desire that way. You're using it as an excuse to not make yourself more desirable to your partner. Or
So
actually, more
Eileen,
importantly, desirable to yourself.
yeah. So Eileen is saying that very sad to see many couples having sexless marriage. When that breaks down, every small issue becomes a big issue.
Yeah,
I
that's
totally agree.
absolutely true because it's not about the issue. The reason why
Yes,
every small issue becomes a big issue is because what they're really saying there is, I'm gonna pick on this really small issue
yes,
because what I'm really trying to tell you is, I don't feel like you love me. I don't feel like I'm
yes,
desired here. I don't feel
yes.
like you want me. That's really what they're saying.
True. And I think don't be surprised. I have met a lot of couples who has sexless marriage. And how do you define sexless? Means in a year you make love less than 10 times. That is considered sexless marriage already. So don't be
Yeah.
surprised. You know, I have quite a number of couples who are only make love once a month or once in 2 months, which is considered sexless marriage. Don't
Yeah.
say
Because
about people who,
by the way, I understand that we have to separate, say, like marriage with like the legal aspect of marriage versus, say, being in an intimate partnership with somebody.
mm,
That those are two different things. People assume that they're always the same thing because some people are in marriages because it's legally convenient to be in a marriage. Like it's a business partnership. There's legalities involved. Maybe they're intertwined family wise. I understand that. What we're basically talking about here is if you choose to be in an intimate relationship with somebody, you pay it. Yeah, it is paramount that why would you keep that intimate relationship if the sex is dead? It's really just that simple. And then people have to learn to separate those two. Are we married because it's convenient? Or did we marry each other because we want an intimate relationship and build life together for the long run? Or do we just want an intimate relationship and you could be married to somebody else legally and I can be married to somebody else legally because that's what's convenient to our families because they all work. They all
yeah,
work.
true, true. But I think
So
another reason for sexless marriage is also I notice a lot of times it started from the performance anxiety, where a man started to have a little problem with erection or premature ejaculation, and they start avoiding sex. Like they start avoiding sex, stop touching their wife, and their wife is like, "What happened now?" And no communication, and I think a lot of people forget sex definition is not just penetration and orgasm. You need to redefine your sex when you are aging, right? Maybe it's not so much about penetration anymore, but it's more on the hugging, the foreplay, the kissing, the touching. And once the men who start to have performance anxiety and stop touching the wife, that's where you feel distance. The wife feel like I'm just a roommate to you, or a sisters to you, which is
yeah.
really, really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. right? And the loss of desire or stuff for men, that's like unpacking that. The reason why that's difficult is because that's unpacking a very big can of worms. It can be, do you feel, it's like asking a man, do you still fulfilled in your work? Do you still have ambition in life? Is there something you're still looking forward to? And you know what? The most common thing that they would probably say is, no, I just got comfortable with life. I don't have that fire in me anymore for life. And that's the start of it. That's really the start of it. And that can come about by even not being able to keep the relationship alive, and the man gives up on it, and then that's the start of the spiral. So it's all connected together.
I think redefining your sex life is really, really important, because sex is, again, I would just emphasize, it's not all about penetration and orgasm. It's a lot more than that. And as you age, you cannot expect that, a man penis can work all the time. And sometimes I also tell my client to make love without penetration. Can you make love without penetration? I think if you learn to make love without penetration, you will actually able to prolong your sex life way, way longer.
Yeah.
Right? Up to the 70s or 80s if you are able to do that. Yeah.
Man, those people are like masters.
Okay.
Like veterans.
We left only 2 minutes. Let's see, is there any more questions? If do you think hormonal issue does affect sex life? How would you deal with that? Definitely, I can tell you, if men lost their testosterone hormone, I can tell you they almost don't have sex drive anymore. So it's really, really important to go and check your hormone level. Okay, even for women, losing your estrogen hormone also, it will actually make your vagina dryness, and then a lot of, especially people who are premenopause or menopause, you might actually lose that desire. So it's really important to just go and check. If you suspect your hormone are not as balanced, go and check. And just simple prescription, simple supplements prescription can actually solve that problem. So I realized that a lot of people, because we don't talk about it often enough, a lot of people didn't know there's so much of simple solution. Like when we're talking about the pelvic floor muscle, it's because of the circulation, right? Because of the circulation not able to go to your penis, not able to supply the blood flow to your penis. That's why the erections start losing. And women, your pelvic floor muscle are very weak. It's very hard for you to reach orgasm. Because whenever you want to reach orgasm, your pelvic floor muscle needs to have contraction. So these are like just common signs, but a lot of people doesn't know about it. So hormonal definitely is a huge issue. I can tell you, if you subscribe, you prescribe a testosterone supplement to your husband that has low testosterone hormone level, you can see how his desire just pick up. So I think there's one which is physical, and there's one which is psychological. So if you can make sure both of these is healthy, I don't think you will have any problem with your sex life.
Yeah, you got to start studying that as you grow older, especially for you guys out there. You got to start studying what foods are throwing your your blood sugar levels out of control, what's stopping your blood flow properly. You got to control your sugar intake. You got to fix what you eat. You have to eat more protein and fat properly. You have to sleep better. You stop smoking, stop drinking, because those all affect your erections.
Yes.
Some people sometimes it's too late when people start realizing that.
I would think it will be never too late if you really put effort on it, because to get back your health is really not that bad. I think within a year, if you put in good habits and exercise routine inside, you will see the transformation.
Yeah, the reason why I say it's too late is because the usual excuse that I get from people is, I'm already old, just let me have fun with my life and just eat what I want and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, your wife is freaking suffering here from your lack of desire. And she suffering, she'll nag the shit out of you, and your children will look at you like, Dad's not a respectable person, so let's just walk all over him. And I was like, that's like, ugh.
Yeah, sure. You are so right. So I think we are already over time. So I think if you really want to improve your sex life, I think tomorrow's workshop will be really good. It will be a 3 weeks workshop. Every week is 1.5 hours. We choose it to be on Thursday so that you can do some practices over the weekend. You know, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can do some practice. So day one is talking a lot about relationship, the modern relationship, you know, the swipe culture, the roadblocks, the intimacy roadblocks. And we will talk about your love language, you know, the basic human needs. So that is day one. Okay, day two will be very, very juicy because day two is talking about all the anatomy and about the erogenous zone. Like a lot of people didn't even know, you know. So I think that is the basic. And the third week, we will be talking a lot about what is your ritual. How are you going to create a ritual just specially for you and your partner, and what are the best sex position, what are the things that you want to do. So I think if you really have not had any proper sex education, this is a class for you. And I can tell you, I put too much effort on this. I never thought that it needs so much of effort because there's no good reference for me, because I think for Asian culture, it's really, really hard for us to find a sexual workshop to talk about sex in an Asian culture kind of environment. So it's not easy for me to come up with this course. So if you're interested, please join, okay? And I don't know when I will conduct it again, because I conduct it because of MCO. I think once MCO is lifted, I do not think I will have that kind of time anymore. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, Kills. Do you have any final say before we say goodbye?
Teach people how to use their hands.
You are so right.
Teach them how to use their hands and their fingers. Okay?
It's so important. It's so underutilized, right? Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Have fun. And if you want to join, please click at the link. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye, Kills.